What's up? What's up? Eddie Moore Jr. here, and I'm on the chopping block at visceralchange.org.
What's up, y'all? We back. Another episode, a special episode, if I may say so myself. I'm here with the Don, the man, the myth, the legend, the present, the past, the future, you name it. The honorable, good brother, Dr. Eddie Moore Jr., founder and president, director, executive, you name it, of America and More, the Privilege Institute, the White Privilege Conference. I mean, do I need to keep going? Published author, what more do you need? Brother Eddie, man, what's going on? How are you today?
Brother Sherrod, man, congratulations, my brother. It's so good to see you, man. And, this COVID has, it's actually been a blessing in disguise in some ways, but it's also been tough in other ways, just because you don't get any face-to-face, real life interaction. True. And even if I saw you, I don't even feel like it's the time to give you the proper hug. You see your family, see your friends, and you can't even greet them. So
can't embrace, man.
Yeah. So all of that, though, to say, man, COVID has really got me and my family appreciating the little things, man.
Yes. Yep.
And so I'm blessed. I'm too blessed for stress.
No doubt.
It's great to see you, and I'm just happy to be able to be a part of what you're doing, bro.
I appreciate you, man. I'm glad that you're here. Honestly, man, you're a mentor of mine, someone I cite regularly. Every time I'm doing a presentation and I get to my little white privilege section, I cite Peggy McIntosh, and then I plug the WPC every time. You can ask anybody who's been in a VC workshop. They'll tell you, who is this guy, Eddie Moore Jr. he talks about, man? Well, this is him, ladies and gentlemen. This is the man, the myth. I had to throw on a suit for my guy today. I come ready, make sure everything's set. Brother Eddie, let's jump right into it, man. We got some time together, and so I don't want to waste it. I want it to be nice and valuable. Look, man, you're internationally known. There's no secret about that, and for good reason. I mean, the work you do is challenging and it's necessary. But people know you now, man. Coming up, I'm sure that journey wasn't all green. I'm sure the grass was a little muddy at times, a little brown. Projects, man, somewhere in Florida, right, down south. I know you've been through it. So why don't you tell us the first time you realized that you could be more? See how I did that? You realized you could be more than your environment was telling you.
Yeah, man, it's just so amazing that you asked me that, because I was just recording a video for an acceptance speech for a alumni award I just received from my undergrad, Cornell College in Iowa. And I was reminiscing, because that's really where it all started for me, man. I grew up, difficult situations in Florida, small town there. And basically, I mean, long story short, I had 3 older brothers. They all went to prison. They were just doing some things that were not healthy. I had an older sister, and my mom was really trying to keep my sister and I on the straight and narrow. And I was the baby, of course, and so I think she had a little extra protective gear around me.
No doubt.
Particularly as a son, and losing 3 of her sons, pretty much to the criminal justice system.
Right.
She just wanted to, make sure her baby stayed on track. And so, she didn't protect me from it all, because like any young boy, I wanted to be like my older brothers. And as I said, they weren't necessarily doing all the right things. Mm-hmm. And so I started to stray off a little bit. My mom, she did all she could to fight and battle. And I think, I say all of that because I think really when I was going to college, I didn't really, think about, when I was going to high school, I wasn't really even thinking about going to college. I knew about going to college. And I think the thing that my mom and my coach, my high school coach, really drilled in my head is I had a chance to, play college football. So I think they used that as a way to inspire me, and it worked, man. I didn't know anything about Division III, Division II, scholarship, all of that.
Right.
I mean, I had a sense that, you know, there were some elite kind of athletes that played on TV and all of that. And I
That's
wasn't
right.
there, but I was definitely capable of playing somewhere.
Sure.
And so that's how I ended up in this small college, man. And all of that is really important because when I got to college, because of some of the stuff I was doing in my neighborhood with my friends, with my older brothers, I was already introduced to like drugs, drinking and drugging,
That's
you
right.
know. So most college students, I think they get to college and they sample, you know,
Yep.
they experience.
Yep.
I like to say to people, I got to college and I was already a semi-pro. I had already, I had already, you know, done some work in that area. And
No
what
doubt.
happened is really in college, I became a full-fledged alcoholic and drug addict.
Mm.
And for 4 years, really, bro, the only thing that saved my life, I think, was I played football, baseball, and basketball for 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so because I was participating in athletics and had to train and had to compete, I couldn't necessarily party all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so this real addiction piece is so important because it's still a big part of my life today.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, really when people ask me, you know, about that muddy water, about that muddy grass you're talking about, I tell people, you're looking at a crackhead with a Ph.D.
Wow.
Because when I graduated college, I mean, I have to thank my almighty, man, for me. Because for me, bruh, to make it 4 years and get a degree based on the behaviors I was participating in,
Right.
I mean, it shows, you mentioned it. I mean, something far greater than me was a part of that process.
Sure.
But it wasn't really until I got back home, I got back with the same friends and the same environment my mama tried to get me away from, and my addiction spiraled downward. I got myself, and the difficulty is I was a functioning drug and alcoholic. You know,
Sure.
I was in good shape. I had a job, I had a college degree, so I was presenting really, you know, on the outside positively, but on the inside, bro, I was toe up, man.
Hurting.
Toe up. And I mean, really, it all kind of crashed. All of that accumulation of all I've been saying really came to a head when I took a job at Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Mm-hmm.
And I was basically stealing from the organization to fill my crack cocaine habit.
Got it.
And the two women who were over me, one of them in particular, said to me, you can either get clean, you can go to rehab, or you can go to jail. And that was really, bruh, that was really one of the first real pivotal moments in my life.
Sure.
That gave me a second chance. Now, keep in mind, bruh, while I'm in all of this addiction, this downward spiral, my mama is there fighting for her baby, still fighting, man. She never,
Of course.
Man, I mean, I just say to people all the time when their kids are, you know, dealing with some of these struggles, never give up. Always show them you're in their corner. And my mama, man, and bruh, I gave her plenty reasons to turn her back.
Sure.
And through the good, the bad, and the crack, my mama had my back. Bro.
Oh, man.
And so
Wow.
when that piece hit, you know, I got a chance to get clean and sober, which I had never really experienced. I knew nothing about sobriety. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
I thought you went to church. That's how you turn your life around, right? Black folks don't go to rehab. We go to church.
Right.
This is what was in my mind. And I still remember, bro, I was sitting in my first kind of outpatient rehab situation. And there was about 8 or 10 of us. And Connie and Bert were my counselors. I'll never forget them. Connie says to the group, everybody introduce yourself. You know, we all go around. My name is Eddie. I'm an alcoholic, all that kind of thing, right? Everybody goes around, gets back to Connie. Connie says, I want to congratulate y'all on deciding to never drink and drug the rest of your life. And I mean, I literally, you know, kind of raised my hand thinking, wait a minute, I think I'm in the wrong program, right? I didn't come here.
Right, that's not what I told you.
Right, I'm 20-something years old. I'm not going to stop forever. How am I going to live and not party?
Right.
How am I going to celebrate?
Right.
How am I going to deal with it? I mean, in my mind, I never thought you could live your life without drugs and alcohol. And again, I'm not saying for those, because folks can drink, folks can, have a couple of drinks, maybe smoke something. I mean, some folks have the temperament to do that.
That's right.
That wasn't me. Okay. I can't just have 2 drinks at the bar and go home.
Right.
So I didn't think that I could live my life really, bro, without drinking and drugging. But it was Connie and Bert really being that second opportunity for me to really understand what it took to live a clean and sober life. And it's been 27 years now, bro.
Wow.
So I've been at it in reference to my sobriety. Yeah, man, I'm really blessed.
Shout out.
And I was really fortunate to get started early.
Yeah.
Now, again, this is so important to the story when you ask about, when I really began to see, when I really imagined myself far beyond what I saw growing up.
Right.
And I say to people all the time about my undergrad school, my college, where I got my bachelor's degree, political science. There were some folks there that should have kicked me out of college. Okay. I was doing some stuff there that I shouldn't have been doing.
Sure.
Second chance. I got the big brothers, big sisters. Like I said, man, they should have put me in jail for what I was doing. They could have. Second chance.
Right.
Man, my mama, bro. My mama.
Right.
Man, I don't even know how many chances she gave me, bro.
Yeah.
I ran out of numbers, man. But I just all those opportunities. And really, once I hit that sobriety stride, though, once I realized I needed to live my life clean and sober, and I can do that one day at a time.
Yep.
Right? Once I hit that stride, I took a job as a high school teacher and a football coach at a little school back in my hometown area.
Yep.
All right. I wanted to do, once I got clean and sober, what my coach did for me to give me an opportunity to go to college. I wanted to do that for some young black males at the school where I was teaching and working, right?
Yep.
So I take them to Iowa. We raise some money. I take them to Iowa. They get a chance to visit some colleges. And one of the colleges we were visiting, the football coach there always had a black male on his staff.
Okay.
So while my students were looking around the college, I was just there talking football with the coach. He literally offered me a job on the spot.
Oh, wow.
And I was going to be able to come there, get my master's degree for free.
Yep.
And I was going to also be a grad assistant football coach.
Yes.
I went back home. I resigned my position at the end of the year, and I came back to Iowa to this little small college called Loras College, Dubuque, Iowa, where I began on my master's degree in education and also as a grad assistant football coach. In my first class of my master's degree, I met this white brother by the name of Tom Detterman. Okay. We hit it off right away. Tom was the diversity guy for the school district. Talked to me about, hey, I need somebody to come with me, talk to kids. I mean, that's basically how I got started, kind of public speaking in the school classroom area. Yep. And Tom really taught me a lot. And after a couple of years, I realized I didn't really want to, spend my life as a football coach. In fact, I met a college professor there in my master's degree program who said to me, you're wasting your talent on X's and O's. You can do more as a college professor than you can as a college football coach.
Interesting.
So the combination of this guy, Tom Detterman, and the college professor, opportunities to speak a little bit in schools with Tom, college professor saying, you should go on to your Ph.D. This is when that's when it all began to come together, bro.
Right there.
That's when it all began to come together for me. And I began to do what Malcolm Gladwell talked about and putting in my 10,000 hours as a public speaker, as a Ph.D. candidate. I began to consume the knowledge and get on the track, get on the path. And that's when it all began. So I graduated my master's degree, went to my Ph.D. at the University of Iowa, got through the coursework of my University of Iowa experience. My undergrad college, Cornell College, asked me to apply for a job as the director of diversity. I got that job. My first program because of one of the first classes I took in my Ph.D. program was this young professor by the name of Michelle Young, who said to us in that Ph.D. program, you're not doing diversity work if you're not factoring in issues of white supremacy, white privilege, and other forms of oppression. Because of her statement, I began to do all my research with that foundation. I did my PhD research on Black football players. I finished my coursework. Cornell called me. I applied for the job, and my first program was the White Privilege Conference in 1999. And I really wanted to just bring people to talk about what Michelle Young had told us about, which is how do you do diversity work beyond kumbaya?
Yeah.
And do white supremacy work along with that, white privilege work along with that.
Right.
I didn't feel like there was an arena for us to explore high levels of diversity conversations beyond kumbaya.
Yep.
On top of that, bro, lastly, I'll say this. For those of us who do diversity work, especially white people, they should be going to a place to do their work.
Sure, yes.
I say to people all the time, if you hire me as a consultant, if you hire a visceral change, you should be asking them, what's the last professional development you've done to allow you to get better? What's helping you? What's challenging you to expand? Okay? And so that's really, some of what I was trying to create in the White Privilege Conference environment.
Yep.
And so that's kind of how I really began. I mean, I think it was about 6-7 years ago, maybe 8 years ago, where I realized this is my destiny.
Wow.
Like, this is what I've been called to do.
That's right.
Because keep in mind, bro, before all of that, I always had jobs in addition to doing my diversity work.
Sure. Yes. Yeah.
So I always believed that my work would be for an institution, in an institution. And it was only 8 years ago when I realized I think I've been called to something far greater than signing the back of the check.
Hey, it's funny you say that, man. You shared a ton. First off, thank you for all that information. That was just beautifully said, and it's powerful. You know what I mean? Super profound, and it's nice to see, what went into the man who's in front of us today. And you talk about, how 8 years ago you came to that realization. And I find myself there now as well. Since visceral change really began to take off, and since doing this work, I was like, this is where I need to be. Not just want to be, but this is where I need to be, because you find out in higher ed, there's a lot of red tape, a lot of bureaucracy, a lot of, discussions that don't involve you, but are about you at the same time, that you should be at the center of. And so there's a lot of competing interests that I say to myself, I can help resolve this tomorrow, not in this capacity, but maybe in this capacity here in VC. So that was great, man. And I actually had a question about how you wound up in Iowa, which you answered. So I'm happy to hear that. I don't know if you've necessarily answered how you wound up at Cornell College, though. So how'd you wind up there from Florida?
Yeah, my high school basketball coach who went to Cornell, who was from Iowa, is really that connection that my mom had. And they together said, we got to get him as far away from home as possible.
Got it. Okay.
And so that's how I ended up in little old Mount Vernon, Iowa, Division III college. So it was really their goal, I think, bro, to just kind of get me away from the environment that I grew up in. And that's really how I got there.
So I almost feel like witness protection at that point.
To some extent, that's exactly what it was, man.
That's right.
It really, Cornell helped me to begin to think about myself and see myself far beyond than what I imagined myself.
Yes.
And so I think that's what college offers a lot of young people. But for me, especially, I just really got to see some things, be a part of some things.
Yep.
That I never imagined. And I think that sparked so many other things that, all eventually came together. Yeah.
That's right. And I'm going to want to dig into that a little bit more too as we get on. I want to change the tone just a little bit. You've been doing this work for a long time, as evidenced by what you just shared, over 20 years, hardcore into diversity and inclusion specific, with the center on whiteness, which we can all appreciate. And here I am decades later, man, I find myself doing the same thing, focusing right on it. Brother Eddie, do you think, man, that, I guess maybe the better question is why do we, right? And why do you think we as Black men feel that we have a need to engage this work? I mean, why do you think we find ourselves here time and time again?
Yeah, well, I feel like, for every Black man, that story may be different.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to hear yours. I know for me, I feel like, and more in this time, really, that every community, every organization, every moment needs someone that is pushing, challenging, informing, providing a kind of space and place that's not always welcome, but always needed.
Yes.
And so I feel like, often the folks who've been able to experience some of the struggle associated with life in general, and especially if it's institutional, because of some of that experience can always be beneficial in these times. And I think that's what we find. I have mixed emotions about this, man. You, as a brand new father, I'm hoping you can relate to this. Like, and I have a 9-year-old right now, right? Do I want him on the path of social justice? I go back and forth.
Right.
Or do I just want him to, ride his bike?
Right.
Just play baseball.
Just eat dinner, as we say sometimes, right?
Man,
Yep.
So I feel a real, kind of mixed emotions about that. And I feel like my life, I grew up always feeling I wanted to do something, give back in some way.
Sure.
I do feel like that's a part of my wiring from my mama.
That's right.
But right now, as a father, particularly of a young son and a young daughter,
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering, how do I just let them be kids?
Yes.
And they decide if this is the work they want to do, where I feel like early on, because of things happening around me,
that's right.
I decided real early that I wanted to be a part of, making sure this didn't happen to a lot of other people in the way that I experienced, in the way that I saw it.
That's right. Yeah, I can agree with that. And it's one of those negotiations we deal with. And when we look around us, I mean, one of the best pieces of advice I've gotten, I say this often, so if you're watching, you heard me say this in another interview, I apologize, but talking about how to, help with diversity at institutions or organizations. And one of the best pieces of advice I got was, in order to bring the diversity, sometimes you have to be the diversity. And so we have to find ourselves in the seat in these discussions in order to bring it. Otherwise, people aren't thinking about these identities that we're thinking about. But why do I feel like I have to be in that discussion in order to make it happen? Why can't we just have a culture that celebrates this in a different way? And so I can resonate with a lot of what you're saying. I want to go back to the man, Eddie Moore Jr. Not the myth, but the man. And you talk about with such passion your 4 years at Cornell, and you talk about your relationship with your mom and the closeness. And the brotherhood you were able to form on the field, and you were a 3-sport athlete, baseball, basketball, the whole nine. I'd like to know, as you approach your work, right, there's always remnants of those who came before us. How has what your mom instilled in you shaped the man that you are today? And how important is it to pay it forward to our families and friends and mentors who came before us?
Yeah, man. It's, the way, really in the last 10 years, I've been talking about my mom in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my mother in '96. And she
Okay.
was able to see me graduate my master's degree, but not my Ph.D.
Mm-hmm.
But the way I talk about it is, I didn't like my mama growing up a whole
Mm-hmm.
lot, because she was on my butt, bro.
Mm.
I was the baby. I was somewhat of a mama's boy, but also, she didn't, I think she just wanted to see me be better. And my older brothers were in reference to the trouble and all that kind of stuff.
That's right.
And so I think it's really been in that last decade, this last decade plus, that I've been really remembering all the positives that I thought was her just being hard on me.
Mm.
And So I think there's a level of don't let this suit fool you,
That's
right?
right. Of
There's a level of, yeah, I am a genuinely nice person.
course.
And I was born at night, but I wasn't born last night. And I think that's what I used to see in my mom, like always nice, but if they rolled up on that house the wrong way,
Yep.
she didn't play. So that's number one, right?
Yeah.
Always just being gracious and open and loving.
That's right.
It's something my mom modeled for me and I think instilled in me. And but not to let people roll over you.
That's right.
Always working hard. Like I can't imagine a life with one job. Right? That makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
Just having one job. You got one job. That just doesn't compute for me. I gotta be doing something else.
I'm like that too.
I gotta have a hustle on the side. That's just the way she was, man. She worked at the hospital and then she cleaned and folded somebody's clothes just to earn some extra. I mean, she just always did extra stuff to get some extra hustle money going on.
That's right.
And that she instilled in me as well. And she was a God-fearing, a faithful person. I really always appreciated that about her, although I didn't like it all the time, her making us go to church, making us be in the Easter play and the Easter service. But, I still value that today, man, because I think that helped me with my public speaking skills.
Sure.
My ability to memorize things.
Sure.
I mean, all of that came from my mom's forced participation.
Yep.
And so, so much I look back on and I think about who I am today, what I am today, where I'm going today, and how much I owe that to my mama, man. And it's just the way I want to be. I want people, and I get some flack about this sometimes, that people feel like I'm not mean enough. I just let people somewhat take advantage of me and the conference by coming there and making their money and not really giving back. And I just, I just don't roll like that way. I can't be vengeful in spirit.
Right. Sure.
I can't do that.
Sure.
It's just not in me.
Right.
I mean, if you're on my bad side, you've done some real bad stuff.
Right.
All right. And I always believe it'll come back, bro. It'll come back.
Sure.
So I'm always trying to say, what can I do, bro? How can we partner? Sis, how can I help out? Hey, y'all, what's going on? What do y'all need? Because I feel like that spirit of collaboration,
right,
that openness, that partnership is something that is really the foundation of success around this kind of work.
That's right.
That together we're stronger.
That's right.
And so I want to always have my platform, my organization, any kind of programmatic thing that I'm involved with, have a spirit of cooperation and collaboration, paying it forward, like you said.
Yes.
And I just got an email a day or so ago from someone, I don't even know the person, right? I met them at something, they came to something and the person just said, I wanted you to just know the fruits of your labor, a seed that has blossomed.
Yes.
Because of our interaction with each other. And that's, to me, that's what the work is all about, right?
That's
there,
huge.
bro.
That's huge.
That's what it's all about.
That's absolutely huge.
In the words of Kendrick Lamar, I'm fortunate. I mean, I can make a little revenue doing this work. I'm gonna be all right in that way.
Sure.
And maybe if I was a bit of a jerk, I could be a little bit more, have a little bit more.
Yep.
Because I'd be just bringing it in for myself.
Yep.
But I just can't be wired that way.
Yep.
Mainly because of my mom.
That's right. That's probably the best testament. I know you said she left us in '96, but that's probably the best testament to her. Best compliment she'd want to hear is, I've always believed the value of a parent is different and it goes a long way. But one thing we try to do is instill that inherent sense of good and bad, right and wrong in our kids, who can make valuable decisions in their own life moving forward. And it's clear that you've been able to overcome such hardship to become the man you are. And I have to imagine Mom Dukes is giving that salute from way up, showing that love for sure. You started to talk a little bit about how you take this into your work. So I want to pivot in that direction real quick. I want to talk about America and More, established '96, as I understand it. EST '96.
Yes.
And you establish it, as I understand, as a way to provide training resources really to K-12 schools, colleges, companies, universities, you name it, giving them something that they can use to really begin tackling this work from a real critical perspective. We fast forward to today, as we mentioned at the top, we got the Privilege Institute, we got the White Privilege Conference, as extensions of this dream that you had back in '96. Not that there's many people who don't know, but for those who don't know, talk a little bit about what these institutes and conferences are and really what you hope to accomplish with them.
Yeah. So American More is really my platform for EddieMooreJr.com, my
Okay.
public speaking, all of that. And keep in mind, bro, when you're established in '96, unapologetically Black. I'm gonna just let that soak in with the audience. It's just now that I've really been able to get anything of longevity in reference to contracts with people. Most people, I was the one-shot Black History Month event or MLK event. That when you're unapologetically Black, talking about white supremacy, white privilege, and other forms of oppression in '96,
right.
People didn't want you around the organization very
That's
long.
right.
And I'm not just talking about white folks.
I can see that. I'm laughing because of how real that is as I think about it.
So EddieMooreJr.com has, over the years stuck with it. I mean, and I've just been fortunate to have a kind of wiring, like I said, related to my mom, where I just, I would go to the school, work 6-7 hours a day in reference to school periods, speaking in different classrooms. And that's how I got that 10,000 hours in. And I'm really actually thankful for the kind of platform that I came up on, bro, because I had to grind to get here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, ain't nobody hand out Nathan.
Right.
10,000 hours. I had to put it in. So American More is my story of the grind. And the White Privilege Conference, those two are somewhat connected just because it's an extension of me and my real vision to create a kind of space and place where that unapologetically Black Afrocentric framework,
right,
foundation can be a part of the learning. And the real guiding principle is handshake to handshake, hug to hug, or as we refer to it, the relationship model. I can't tell you, brother, the number of people are so shocked that the White Privilege Conference is Black owned.
I can imagine.
Black founded, Black Genius, Black Excellence founded, and Black Genius, Black Excellence ran organization.
That's right.
Okay, and even though white privilege is the title, what I like to remind people is Afrocentric is the foundation of the knowledge, of the learning. It's not how do we take care and help white people understand white privilege. It's really how do we take care of ourselves? How do we stay whole? How do we heal? How do we be in community as people of color surviving white supremacy, anti-Blackness, structures, systems, and sometimes and many times individuals. And so that's the intent of my framework and all the workshops that we're designing and everybody who's coming to be a part of those workshops. So those two, the conference and American More, are connected in that way because of that Afrocentric, unapologetically Black framework. Right. But the conference is really now taking on an identity of its own after 20-something years.
Yep.
And really what we're trying to do now, bring in thousands of people every year to really explore issues of supremacy, privilege, other forms of oppression comprehensively. Yes. And then Privilege Institute, keep in mind now, also for 16, 17 years of the 20-something years of life, the White Privilege Conference has been in partnership with an organization. We've been basically under the umbrella of another institution. And after 15, 16 years, I felt and felt with some others that we were now ready to be an entity of our own.
That's right.
And that's where the Privilege Institute comes in. It's our 501c3. It's our umbrella organization that allows us to do what we do without any kind of interruption from some institutional philosophy or mission vision that we may be in conflict with.
That's right. That's right. Um, let's shift gears just a little bit more. And I want to talk slightly about your books, man. They're out there. So you can go ahead and go one by one, or you can tell me about them, these two in particular ones together. My question really is, why did you feel to write these narratives? So for the folks who have it, we got The Guide for White Women Who Teach Black Boys. And then we got the Diversity Cookbook. My gosh, I was in that presentation when he was sharing it to the world for the first go. Him and the good Reverend, a lot of good folks up there. And so I just want to know, man, why these particular books? Why did you feel it was important to share these stories?
Yeah, so the book design that I've always been a part of is similar to my workshop, my conference design collaboration. Really giving some folks who've never been published an opportunity to publish, but also a chance to work with folks who I've been working with that we've never been able to, publish something together. So the first real book we did was Everyday White People, which was about white people living, doing good social justice work for 30, 40 years or more. Like most people know Peggy McIntosh, but they don't know how Peggy McIntosh came to the famous article, Unpacking the Invisible Knapsack.
That's right.
So in Everyday White People, she shares that story. Most people know Jim Lowen.
Yep.
Lies My Teacher Told Me, Sundown Towns. I mean, one of the most published sociologists in the world.
That's right.
A lot of people don't know how Jim Lowen came to be Jim Lowen.
Right.
So this book captures the story of all those white folks who've been doing the work 30 plus years or more and how they got there to be an inspiration to white people so that they can not always be turning to people of color as the models for their social justice work.
Yes.
Okay. And then there came White Women Teaching Black Boys, and which is, again, its title alone was really designed for that topic.
Yep. Sure.
The cookbook was put together to help future consultants, the future of the work.
Yep.
The people who are coming to really take our jobs 25 years from now.
Sure.
There are so many things I wish I had known 25 years ago.
Yes.
And that's what this book really is, to help those who are going to get into the business today. We just completed the companion book to to White Women's Guide to Teaching Black Boys, called Teaching Beautiful, Brilliant Black Girls. So that'll be out next, hopefully right now we're aiming for MLK Day. It could be Black History Month. Sometime early next year, that book will be out. And lastly, I'm excited to announce here
what we got?
my brand new kids book.
Hey.
Called Lil E.
Lil E.
Yeah, so this goes back to our conversation earlier. Sometimes Black kids just need to read books about Black boys who play baseball,
yep,
who throw rocks in the windows and get in trouble,
yep,
who really help out the neighbor carry their groceries up the stairs.
Yep.
That's really what I'm trying to do with Lil E, is to just give some positive messages to all kids, but particularly kids of color and Black boys specifically, just because there's so few of them in kids' books. So that's something that I'm looking to have ready by the holiday time. So I'll keep you posted.
Yes,
so
please
hopefully
do.
This will be one of the first books my nephew was able to kind of see a little resemblance of himself. And so those are some of the books, man, I've been excited about. We also have a referee journal in reference to publishing around the issue of white supremacy, white privilege, and other forms of oppression. The White Privilege Journal, which can be found on our website. So I'd like to point that out because it's another opportunity for young scholars, but not just people in higher ed, also high school kids, folks who just write something about their reflections. It's a chance for everyday people to get published as well. So I'd like to point that out as well.
Fantastic, man. I feel like I stumbled upon Lil E maybe in my research or somewhere, some point in time, but I said, wait a minute, what's going on here? And so I'm amped for that, man. I had the great fortune of publishing a children's book myself recently about my little man who was 2B at the time, and
Yeah.
now he's here. And so it's a fantastic feeling, man, to get out there and really, for me, step into a whole different world. I haven't worked with that young population in a long time, man. It's been quite a few years, and so almost 10 at this point. And so it's nice to kind of be able to get back into that skin and live that out. Dr. Eddie Moore, before I let you go, how can people get in touch with you, man? Podcasts, hashtags, social medias, books, anything, man. Shout it out.
Yeah, bro. Well, the good thing is everything's under my name, EddieMooreJr.com.
Great.
I mean, you hit that up on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, and I'm going to pop up. Same with my website, EddieMooreJr.com. If you search that on the web, I'm who pops up. My email, same thing, Eddie Knows More at Yahoo. Hit me up. I'm definitely accessible, and really the one thing you got to do is just plug my name in the search engine, and I'm going to pop up. And so yeah, man, I appreciate the opportunity to shout it out. And all of my publications and all that kind of stuff are in those platforms if people want to find out more information.
Perfect. The Honorable Dr. Eddie Moore Jr., thank you so much for being with us, baby. Dr. Eddie Moore Jr., Sherrod Robbins, you're at the chopping block at visceralchange.org.